all look even better because you can watch this game in high evening. A column, if you were to go to the bookies today or look at the odds on this, it would tell you that they really can't make their minds up who's going to win this match.
Well, I tend to put my money where my mouth is on these things, so I visited the bookies today, and to me the odds are wrong. Dublin are odds on 8-11, Tyrone 6-4. I think Tyrone are very good value. I can't understand how Tyrone are not favourites coming into the game with the momentum that they have behind them. But Dublin tend to have a weight of money behind them, the supreme optimists, so that money talks in bookmaking terms. So every game that Dublin is involved in, oftentimes the odds are a bit wrong.
You can also get 8-1 for a draw, but there is extra time here, so that's probably unlikely.
I'll tell you what are good odds, Michael, because this is a hard game to call. 6-5 a player to be sent off. If I was a gambler, I'd be putting money on that because it's slippery conditions. It's going to be hard-hitting. Last year, Tyrone would feel that they were out-Tyroned by Dublin, you know, where they hit them hard physically, they invite them to come on, and I genuinely believe you'll see at least one player leaving the field today.
You mentioned past slippy conditions. It's raining here and it has been consistently now for the last half an hour or so. Some very heavy showers earlier on here in Dublin. You can see for yourselves just exactly what that's all about. The floodlights are on here in Croke Park. Oh, I mentioned we were expecting a very big crowd here. 60,000 or more they are expected, but very few of them to be seen here so far, and not surprising, I suppose, given the rain that is falling on us here in Croke Park. Joe Brolly, how do you see this one?
Well, I mean, Tyrone are the masters of the big performance, particularly when it's unexpected. They don't have the same bite that they used to have, and you know, you can see that they were clinging on against Cork in 2009, and they clung on against the Dubs last year. You know, the Dubs pulled away 2 or 3 times, and eventually they finished them off with the goal, even if it was a wee bit fortuitous the way it happened. And against Donegal this year as well, there just wasn't that same bite with Tyrone that we've seen in the past. And also, they don't have the killer forwards they once had. The other big thing, I think, is that whereas the Dubs once were lambs to the slaughter in this fixture, you know, you saw them coming in so naively between 2005 and 2008. The way to stop Tyrone is to do what Dublin have been working on over the last couple of years: pack the centre of your defence, force them to kick from 40 metres. They'll try to take Cavan out of the game. You know, they're now alert to what's required at this level. So I think, you know, a very, very tight game with your heart saying, well, look, with Tyrone's pedigree, with their slightly better all-round football, but a lot depends on things like Brogan, other variables,
I don't know if it's absolutely accurate, the point you make about Tyrone and Donegal, because Peter Canavan said to me after that game that Tyrone's performance for the first half an hour in that game he thought was the best in 10 years. Right. Now, as it turned out, they missed a lot. Donegal got back into it and they scored 2 goals.
But they couldn't penetrate Donegal's inner defensive cordon. This was from 45, 50 metres under pressure, which is what the Dubs did to them last year. I mean, a lot of people say, well, Tyrone had 17 wides last year, but a whole lot of it was under severe pressure when the Dubs were always in place. You look at the games in 05 and 08, the Dublin defenders were always running towards their own goals, which is a hopeless position. Last year, the Dublin defenders were waiting for Tyrone. That was the difference.
We've already had a match played here at Croke Park this evening, and that was the junior.
Circulating around the capital all week that Barry Cahill will start on the 40, and that has been confirmed. Alan Brogan is transferred to the full forward line to the exclusion of Owen O'Gara. Martin Michael for Tyrone, Martin.
Well, very much so, because last year Sean Kavanagh started at full forward against Dublin and was hugely ineffective. But in playing him at midfield, I believe Mickey Hart has provided him with an opportunity to influence games.
Coming down far is Paul Flynn. Lays it off. Bernard Brogan under a little bit of pressure. First ball for Joe McMahon. Going forward, Conor Gormley. Good ball in towards Mark Donnelly, who's been in outstanding form in the championship, and it's the very first score in Croke Park. He's been scoring really consistently well. 2 goals and 6 points from play in the last 3 matches, and he puts Tyrone on their way. Cavanagh under a little bit of pressure. Floating one in is Paul Flynn. It's a great ball. Brogan! Brilliant save by Pascal McConnell. 1 minute 40 seconds gone, and we already have drama at headquarters. Sweet ball into Brogan. He let fly, and McConnell was cat-like, agilic, knocking it out. 3 against Laois, 2 against Kildare, 1 against Wexford. It's going straight between the posts for his first in this All-Ireland quarter-final. He's more than just your regular keeper. What about Sean Kavanagh, All-Ireland minor medalist 2001? Gets his first point in the 40 because of his work rate in that area. Here's a chance for Diarmuid Connolly. With a little help of the post, puts it over the bar. Really good score. Scored 1-3 against Laois. He finally beat the Laois goalkeeper, Owen Cullerton, wisely taking his point. Kick out into the middle. Gathered this time by Paul Flynn. Diarmuid Connolly. The overlap is provided by Alan Brogan. Bernard, the brother, is calling for it. But Alan, the senior, is kicking it in. It's floating like a butterfly. It is beautiful to watch. Alan Brogan gets a fantastic point. Right option, right call.
Yeah, and speaking about right options, right call, credit Stephen Cluxon with his kick out. He's been noted for taking short ones up to now. Today he has kicked a few very good long kick outs. That one was won cleanly.
Dennis Bastick from Temple Oak, Sing Street, survives the pressure and goes back to gather. Kevin Nolan, good ball. Diarmuid Connolly on the turn. It's looking good. And the Davin end like it. So too. Hill 16.
Yes, that's all down to good quality long ball coming in. And once more, Diarmuid Connolly loses his marker very easily. The Tyrone full back line are not tight enough on their opposition. There's great defending at the other side by the Dublin defence. Great block of Mulligan. Great block again of McGuigan, it must be said. So at one end, the Dublin defence very...
Tyrone were fouling in that area. Ger Brennan from St. Vincent's pumps it into the space. Diarmuid Connolly. Barry Callaghan inside. Here comes Connolly. Fantastic score. Connolly is a man on form and posing serious problems for the Tyrone full back line. Just watch this. Simple, but lovely.
Yeah. Great tackling by the Dublin defence. There's been subjected to heroic play all through the field from Dublin.
Yes. Great effort by Sean Kavanagh. Wonderful free. Quick kick out by Stephen Cluxton. Spotted that Barry Cowell was available. Decided against the initial layoff. Alan Brogan. Ger Brennan into the space to Diarmuid Connolly, and Tyrone full back line are being torn apart, and Connolly is the main culprit. Sean O'Neill is marking him, but Diarmuid Connolly has put it over the bar for another magnificent score. That's 4 points by the full forward, and Tyrone have to make more changes. On this occasion, it was Sean O'Neill that was trying to prevent. I thought he won the ball cleanly, but we'll have a look at the replay.
Yeah, he did win the ball cleanly, but at the same time he tried to manufacture a free for himself, and I think that's what Jerome Quillen is calling.
Bernard Brogan's free, stopped right under the crossbar. Sideline ball for Dublin. Good pressure though by Dennis Bastick. Quick ball inside first, Paul Flynn. Bernard Brogan is looking for it. Martin Swift got a hand to it. Brogan, more importantly, gets a boot to it. And that's his first point in this All-Ireland quarter-final. The Dublin inside line causing serious problems.
Yeah,
no game time, but Pat Gilroy seems to pick his men very wisely. The layoff from Michael Darragh Macaulay is to Paul Flynn. Look where Martin Penrose is to try and defend. Here's Bernard Brogan. And Dublin make it look very, very easy. Diarmuid Connolly 4 points. Bernard Brogan 2. 6 in the full forward line alone. All from play.
Yeah, but throughout their first look.
Floats this one in and it's wide.
Every position of the field at the moment, and just the likes of Sean Kavanagh, Brian McGuigan and these guys who've been so great for Tyrone in the past are not making any impact on the game.
But Dublin need to score, Martin. Michael Darragh Macaulay. 2-man full forward line. Brogan to Connolly, at least that was the plan. Connolly is there, flicks it back. Chance for the captain, Brian Cullen. And that is over the bar. Wonderful play by Dublin, it has to be said. They are playing like Leinster champions.
And it's a very simple formula. The ball is going in long from the middle of the field into the full forward.
Back into his own half backline and full backline. Lays it off. Far as Brian McGuigan gets by the challenge. Chance here for Mark Donnelly. Difficult enough angle. The umpire is going for his flag. Mark Donnelly's second point of the match, and their first in 15 minutes.
A lot of hard work that time by Brian McGuigan to eventually dispatch the ball to Mark Donnelly, who took the...
A short time ago. He needs to put this one over. He gets it, maybe on yellow, but he's confident enough to go for a diagonal ball. James McCarthy, son of John, lays it off to Dermot Connolly on the turn. Oh, this is brilliant. Dermot Connolly has now scored 5 points, all from play. It's a magnificent performance by the St. Vincent's man, and it's the left boot every single time.
But he's so languid in the way he does it.
Kevin Nolan, Barry Kahn taking on the challenge. St. Bridget's man from the Blanchardstown Castleknock area, flicking one inside. Nice play. Here comes Dublin. Here comes Brogan. Here comes sheer utter class. It's his second point of this All-Ireland quarter-final, and the Brogan brothers between them have scored 4, Dermot Connolly 5, Brian Cullen 1.
And I think it's a fairer reflection of their dominance, that those last 2 scores. They've been outstanding in the first half of Dublin.
Roscommon, 2 points against Dublin. 2.5 minutes of injury time played. Joe McQuillan telling players to get back. Here comes the effort. Here comes the point. Off the boot of Sean Kavanagh.
The big question that everybody's asking here now at half-time is, can Dublin keep this up? Because if they can, this game's going one way.
Absolutely. Can I first of all say it was a really enjoyable game, first half of championship football. Everything that one requires from a game of championship football was there in abundance. Great entertainment, great quality, great skill, great endeavour. But in particular, one skill which I'm always bemoaning the absence or the lack of in Gaelic football, kicking. Some of the kick passing and kick points there were absolutely magnificent. Basically what you saw in that first half was the Dublin, a younger, fresher, fitter, hungrier Dublin team beating Tyrone at their own game. The problems in Tyrone were there in the first half against Roscommon last week when you isolate the two in the full back line, play a 2-man full forward line and move the ball quick and long into that full back line. Tyrone are in trouble. I mean, it's very rare that you ever write down Tyrone naive defence. That's something you never associate. They were very naive, very flat, very much off the pace. There was only one team in that first half, but Dublin 5 points ahead. Michael, they should be 8 or 9 points would be more realistic. Why aren't they 8 or 9 points? Missed a goal, missed five wides, and I think doing too much fouling. 13 frees as opposed to 4.
Yeah, they should be further ahead. But the thing about it is, as Pat pointed out last week against Roscommon, the first half, they had a few problems. They sorted them out in the second half, Colin. They were a different team.
This isn't Roscommon.
Yeah, well, it's a bit late to sort them out. I'm amazed with the sort of room that the Tyrone defence. Now, I think the big difference is speed. And today should have been a day for backs. You know, slippy ball, slippy ground. You would think that the Tyrone backs would be out. They'd be throwing in a hand and getting somebody in to dispossess the ball. It's not happening. Dublin's passing has been excellent. Their handling of the ball has been excellent. And Bernard Brogan, Alan Brogan, Dermot Connolly had just torn them apart.
Yeah. You look at Bernard Brogan before the match we did, and Alan Brogan obviously is an important player, but then on the night something else happens. Dermot Connolly steps up and scores 5 points.
Yeah, and Dermot Connolly had a rotten bad Leinster final, and there was a
big question marks over him too.
Wouldn't have been on. But Tyrone have made life easy for him, but he's had to go and do it. In that case,
made his first appearance against Armagh. Tyrone lose it. Nice pickup by Bernard Brogan to the brother Alan. Brogan is looking for it outside, goes instead to Dermot Connolly with the right boot. He can do no wrong. No doubt about it, he is the hero of the day with 6 points, all from play. And the beauty of it all, it's left foot, right foot, take your pick. Connolly can do it.
Yes, and it's so untypical of Sean Kavanagh to lose possession in that sector of the field. But
comfortable on the ball. Gives it short. Far is Barry Cal. He's worked hard this afternoon or this evening. Out far is Dennis Bastick. Can Bastick score? Like Barack Obama, yes he can. Wonderful play by Dublin. and each and every point so far, bar one, scored from play. What about this? From a midfielder that doesn't normally score.
Yeah, but just look at the room he has had once again. This has been a feature of a lot of the Dublin points today. They've got the ball, engineered them into good areas, but they've got them in uncontested situations.
Paul Flynn onto the left boot. It's an exhibition of football by Paul Flynn. Easily the best performance we've seen from the Blues for a long, long time, and they're doing it to their greatest of rivals. Harley was saying about the frontal charge seemed to be right. Free is quickly taken. Stephen Cluxton under the crossbar. Keane O'Sullivan and Dublin work it down the line. Michael Dara McCauley down towards Bernard Brogan. Joe McMahon trying to stay goal side. Brogan! It's over the bar. But there was a panic attack all the way to County Tyrone, because Brogan has the beating of Joe McMahon. The Oma man could not stop Brogan bearing down on goal. McConnell had his eye on it all the way, but the ball just seemed to lift high and down. Pascal McConnell would want to get on his Honda 50 and get back into goals quickly, because Connolly is heading there, and so too is Barry Call. Paul Flynn, it's Flynn with a chance! And across the face of the goal, Bernard Brogan was centimetre.
Wonderful combined play that time from Dublin on the counter-attack. Shame in a way that a quality move like that didn't result in a goal.
Martin Swift going forward from corner back, lays it off to Sean Kavanagh. Here comes Dooher, captain on the field, leader in every sense of the word, and that ball is going straight between the posts for Dooher's first point of the match.
Yeah, Dooher comes forward well that time, shoots a typical kick off the outside.
Kevin Nolan, who gives it to Dennis Bastick. Dublin have this facility, this ability to open up the Tyrone defence. Here's Alan Brogan, three converge, hits the Rasper, and it goes across the face of the goal. First there was Bernard, then there was Alan. Both goals missed by centimetres.
Just watch it, get the situation. Arnold must be said to Stephen, and he makes sure that he gets his free in.
Martin Penrose hits this well, has the range and the accuracy. Kick out is quickly taken far as Ger Brennan. Keane O'Sullivan. Diarmuid Connolly and Brogan. This is Brogan. Flicks it across to Diarmuid Connolly. Now vital interception by Connolly. You have to be impressed with Dublin's work ethic. Michael Dara McCauley. Diarmuid Connolly. Bernard Brogan. Takes on Joe McMahon for yet another opportunity. Great ball across the face of the goal. There's a chance here for Paul Flynn, and he's going to take his points. He's also collided with the umpire. The umpire is fine, and he gets to the flag. Paul Flynn's second point of the match. Sean O'Neill, right in. Goes on the run on the outside, but it falls to Diarmuid Connolly. Onto the right boot, off the top of the crossbar, and Connolly can do no wrong. He can afford a little smirk, a little smile, a little bit of luck about this, but really, to be honest with you, he deserves it. It's a real classy performance by the St. Vincent's man. 7 points, left and right footed. It was worth the admission fee alone just to see Connolly's display.
But once again, so much, they're getting so.
Goes back to Kevin Hughes. Dermot Carlin coming forward from cornerback position. Penrose throws that one over the bar for his second point. Tyrone may be struggling, but they certainly haven't given up. To be honest with you, what was that for? But Joe McQuillan gives the free to Tyrone. Sean O'Neill wants to take it quickly. Brian Dooher, just out of shot at the moment. Goes instead to Stephen O'Neill. Gets away from Cian O'Sullivan. Difficult angle. Great shot. Quality score by one of the true heroes of Tyrone football over the last 10 or 12 years. It is, of course, Stephen O'Neill.
Yeah, and how often have we seen that?
17 points scored for Dublin, 16 from play. Stephen Cluxton and Bernard Brogan, the only players to score from a free. Just for clarification, in case you've just joined us, Stephen Dublin against Donegal, the end of August. Alan Brogan to Bernard. Diarmuid Connolly goes for the cross instead. Barry Cal, he's been known to score goals down at this end. Here he comes, takes his point. Barry Cal's first point in this All-Ireland quarter-final, but you know what? He deserves it. His work ethic, his total concentration, his at times unselfishness rewarded with a good score. Side the 45-metre line. There he is, and here he comes. Third point for Martin Penrose. This is beautiful. Under pressure. Lovely play by Stephen O'Neill. Barry Cal cleverly retaining possession, particularly when the pressure was coming towards him. Kevin Nolan. Alan Brogan. Bernard on the turn. This one is going wide. 17 points scored from play. It was only 19. Played against Longford. Now, of course, 29 years of age and could well surpass John O'Leary, who played 70 consecutive championship matches. And Stephen Cluxton gets his second point of the match. That now puts him with 8 points in the championship campaign so far.
Well, he's
20 points for Dublin.
Yeah, he's been a model of consistency. I mean, his kickouts are a thing of legend, and they're, you know, the disguise that he can put on his kickouts are wonderful. But he's added to that the accuracy from long-range frees this year. Some goalkeeper.
Sean Kavanagh going up with Kevin Nolan, a green flag rather than a white one. Penrose, I'm pretty sure, will be happy to raise the white. 4 points for Martin Penrose.
Yeah, he just tugged there actually as he releases the pass to Stephen O'Neill. Maybe just as well he was tugged because the ball eventually it didn't reach Stephen O'Neill.
Bastic down towards Barry Cahill, whose work rate continues to impress. Brian Cullen, captain of Dublin, back to Bernard Brogan. There's nobody around the goalpost, so he has to go it alone. What about that? Salute Bernard Brogan, Footballer of the Year 2010. You know what? He could well be heading for the same honour again in 2011. 5 points for the corner forward. Conor Gormley, Martin Penrose, Aidan Cassidy. Diarmuid Connolly goes forward. Gives it back to Alan Brogan. Fronting him is Philip Jordan. Brogan with the left boot. Dublin can do no wrong. It is an exhibition par excellence in an All-Ireland quarter-final. Dublin have found their form.
Certainly have found their form. They're doing the basics so well. Their handling is excellent. Their movement is wonderful. Their accuracy has just been at a level that I haven't seen from a Dublin team in a long, long time. Magnificent football from them.
22 points in an All-Ireland quarter-final. Right on, they've had at least 3 goal-scoring opportunities. But Tyrone are still around. Enda McGinley, Stephen O'Neill. Lovely little jink, and O'Neill has still got the magic. Former Leinster chairman Seamus Howland and Jean Duffy from Armagh all watching this game as they're attending the CYC games in Boston. This is an effort sent over by Sean Kavanagh. Tyrone haven't given up. His 4th point of the match, and Tyrone are still alive, if only just.
Yeah, you've got
Enda McGinley getting inside the challenge, trying. Dublin back there in numbers. Has to turn, has a shot at a very difficult angle, and he scored it. Great score by Enda McGinley. 7 points between the teams, despite at times Dublin looking awesome. Tyrone have stayed with it.
Pat Spillane, Colin O'Rourke and Joe Brolly here in our studio.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tyrone wilted against Donegal's pressure and youth and freshness and packing the centre of the defence, but I mean, that was a mutilation today. And when you think that 22-15 is a respectable scoreline for Tyrone to come away with, it gives you an idea of the scale of the destruction. And, you know, Dublin are now a prototypical, modern, extremely well organised, fast, fit team. They've achieved a very good balance between defence and attack. They're going to get a lot more problems from Donegal than they got from Tyrone. Really looking forward to that. But I think massive psychological breakthrough for Dublin in the quest for an All-Ireland, and you know, a huge victory for them today.
It was Colin O'Rourke. We were questioning at half-time whether they could keep this good performance up. In fairness, the second half they outdid it again.
Absolutely, and Joe was saying this wasn't a beating, this was a humiliation. And no team ever, or nobody ever likes to see a great team like Tyrone and all the much decorated players who have been a great advertisement for Gaelic football over the last decade to go out like that. But they have done that to Dublin on several occasions, so the Dubs certainly won't feel sorry for them. But I think it certainly is the last time we'll see a lot of the great names of Tyrone football in Croke Park. And the big problem for Pat Gilroy now is to keep a lid on the hype, because that's the best Dublin performance that I can remember in 20 years from Croke Park. It had all the hallmarks of great organisation, and for me the big difference in the team was the handling and the pace of the Dublin attack, which Tyrone never got to grips with.
How much, Pat Spillane, was this such a good Dublin performance, and how much was this one fight too far for Tyrone?
Well, I'm delighted that my 2 colleagues got a chance to get their excuses in first, and seeing as they were the 2 boys on the panel to pick Tyrone. Can I just say why I selected Dublin?
Oh, let me out
for
of
a
here.
very simple reason. I remember last year when Tyrone got beaten here, and I used an analogy about a car, and I said, and it still stands today.
No.
If in a car race, a new Ferrari against a 10-year-old Ferrari with 100,000 miles on the clock and needing an NCT. That's what Tyrone are, 100,000 miles on the clock, needing the NCT. They were a tired team. Last year, Mickey was quite critical of the fact that I sort of compared them to Kerry in the latter stages.
It's not really about you, this, Pat,
and
you know
he
that.
clung to the notion that it's not age, they're still a last hurrah. But Mickey stayed loyal to a crowd. It's not age is right, but it's fellas with All-Ireland medals in their pockets that can maintain the intensity and the work rate that this Tyrone system deserves. So can I just say, look, it was Dublin's best performance, really superb performance. And what did he do? Rory McIlroy,
And you just saw that although he was doing the stuff and it was sort of going through the motions, he was making the runs, but there just wasn't that bite anymore. And you look by contrast at Dublin now, Donegal, Kildare, and you see that absolute bite bouncing at it. No one's getting any room. I mean, today Diarmuid Connolly had as much room as he wanted to kick the ball over the bar. You wouldn't have seen that 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Let's hear from the Dublin manager, Pat Gilroy. He's talking to Marty Morrissey.
Pat Gilroy, congratulations. You must be really, really happy with that performance.
Yeah, no, it was a very good performance. As I was saying to the guys in there, that performance came from what we would call our B team did over the last 3 or 4 weeks. It has just been phenomenal. The training games at the weekend, it was just so competitive. There was a point or two in it each time, and I just knew that coming into here that the lads were so well prepared thanks to the work of the whole panel. It has been phenomenal.
Did you think you were going to get as much space as what you created, indeed? And indeed, the amount of scores, 19 points in play?
Well, the lads have been a bit claustrophobic over the last 3 weeks. We played on smaller pitches and we kept things very tight and things were very intense in the games. So we kind of felt that there was a fair chance that when they got here they would find a bit more space and find that it was actually a little bit easier than what they got in training. Now, in saying that, some of the scores that we took today, they were fantastic, and I think Tyrone, you know, they still made life very difficult for us at times, and we got a bit of a golden patch just after half time, which I think was key for us in winning it.
Just being a little bit parochial for a moment, you must be very proud of Dermot Connolly, your own clubmate. I mean, that was some performance today.
Yeah, look, Dermot has applied himself better than probably anybody on the panel this year. Since the 1st of January, he really hasn't done anything other than his absolute best, and I think he's one of the most talented fellas that we have, and you know, we were expecting this performance in a big game, and I'm absolutely delighted for him. He's a very committed fella, and you know, he's a good footballer.
This victory means all 4 provincial champions are in the semi-finals. How do you feel now about facing the Ulster champions, Donegal?
Look, you couldn't, when you're playing somebody like Tyrone, you just can't think about the next game, and to be honest, we haven't even considered it. I mean, we're just delighted to be in an All-Ireland semi-final. I mean, from a distance, we've seen Donegal have done very well all year. I think they've probably only lost 1 game, and that was a bit of a dead match in the league. And you know, Jimmy McGuinness has done a great job with them, and you know, it'll be a tough game.
Well, you can party tonight anyway. Pat Gilroy, well done.
Thank you.
Back to you, Michael.
They mightn't do too much partying. There's still business to.
You know, it was a bit stop-start for us this year. We didn't really hit the heights that we would have liked. But going into today's game, you know, we knew it was knockout and it was all or nothing. And in fairness, the training matches over the last 3 or 4 weeks have been very competitive. You know, the lads on the panel have really put it up to the A team, and you know, they deserve a lot of credit for today's performance.
Johnny Doyle, we'll chat about Kildare in a few minutes, but how would you rate that Dublin performance in terms of this year's championship?
Yeah, well, you'd have to look at it, you know, as probably the most complete 70 minutes of football from any team in the championship days. Like, you know, probably the 30 minutes or 35 minutes that Kerry put together against Cork was probably top drawer football as well. But in general, it was probably the most complete game of the championship from a Dublin point of view.
Is it unfair to Tyrone to question how good or how poor were Tyrone on the evening?
You will have to question that. I mean, you know, the Dublin forwards seem to get a lot of space, and I suppose Croke Park is unforgiving in that respect. You know, it's such a big open place, and